will a ceramic coating protect your car in the event of an accident? The chance to make automotive videos for the internet is a ton of fun and a tremendous honor, but most of the cooler content that we're able to produce involves a little bit more budget, and that's where sponsors really come in. Avalon King has been one of the channel sponsors for each of the last 3 years. We've done a lot of different projects and road trips and adventures with them, and I certainly have appreciated their continued support, as I hope you have too. I hope many of you have tried out the ceramic coatings. They're actually giving a new discount. If you go to the link in the description below and enter the code ED25, you get $25 off their already inexpensive ceramic coating products. And it's worked really well. I had it on my Porsche 993. And honestly, that's about where our relationship started. They wanted me to find a car to test this out on. I had just bought this black Porsche and I wanted to see. I was going to put some miles on it. I was excited to see how that would go. And they were excited for me to be able to test it. And so the day after I had the car coated, I went out into a muddy, dirty, dusty field and got the thing completely covered in dirt. And as we talked about and showed with Sonny the Lamboa, it wasn't really snake oil. The stuff did repel the dirt as just a pressure washer off, and it worked quite well. I will say that, I didn't think that through terribly well, because when you get a car that dirty, dust and dirt get into every nook, cranny, crevice, orifice a car has. And for the next 3 or 4 months, every time I'd wash the car, which obviously just means pressure washing it off and then driving fast, dirt and mud would just come out of every seam, every hole. And so the car got a lot dirtier over time, but each time it really wasn't that big of a deal to just wash the stuff off. And I kept the car for about 1.5 years until we gave it away after hitting 1 million subscribers. And even the guys that road tripped the car home after they won it to Seattle, they're still very impressed with the ceramic coating. Now, a lot of you noticed that we were able to make painter's tape stick to the car, because before they went 2,500 miles to Seattle, they wanted to protect the paint from things that might have been a little bit more than the ceramic coating was up to handling. And so we did that, and technically things shouldn't be as able to stick to ceramic coating, so we had to use really big pieces of tape in order to make that work, and usually try to get into seams. And so a lot of it was already coming off by the time they got home, but it did come off much more easily than I have experienced some of the adhesive separation and things on tape to uncoated or untreated cars. And so Avalon King was really pleased with how that went, and our testimony to what the ceramic coating could do on the Porsche, how easy the car was to clean. They helped me with the road trip home in my LP640 after it was painted in Scottsdale. So we've done several things with them, including their kind of help for our trip on the C2C Express last year. The C2C Express is one of the cheap car cannonballs that I've done several times over the last few years, and last year was the final running of that. And so we were planning to take the ambulance that Travis Bell had been building for the last 14 years as kind of a tribute or a replica of the car that was in the 1979 running of Cannonball, as well as the 1981 movie driven by Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. And so that unfortunately did not work. The car broke down before it made it to the start, so me and the real Captain Chaos had to buy a Lexus that we found on Auto Tempest that was about 0.9 miles away from the hotel that we were staying at. So we bought that for less than $2,000 a few hours before departure, topped off the fluids, put some tires on it, and set out to California. So we had an awesome time on that trip. We didn't get to coat it with Avalon King beforehand. We had hoped to, but at the same time, it was a great time. So I always appreciated Avalon King's kind of willingness to think outside of the box and to support content creators and help us make better content that we could just sitting around in our normal circumstance. And so they contacted me a couple of weeks ago and said, Ed, we'd like you to find a way to torture test our product a little bit beyond what we normally see. Because in most cases, what they see is the creators that they give the product to and some money for a video, they are able to, coat a car and then see if it looks better. And ceramic coating works like super wax. I mean, anything that you could see happen with a really, really good coat of wax, ceramic coating just does that better. It increases the optical clarity, kind of adds some hardness and shine to the paint, and hopefully protects it from things that will hit it. And so we all love ceramic coatings, and there's a whole spectrum of values. And fortunately, Avalon King kind of occupies the lower end of the price point, and the formulation makes it a little bit easier for idiots like me to put it on, take it off, and make it work. And so I do like the product. I've had it on multiple cars, and I've actually had other cars like the 430 Scuderia that have other ceramic coating products, And even though some of their warranties are like 5 years rather than the 2 years that Avalon King says their product will last, it works really, really well. I've loved their products. I've loved their support of the channel. And I was really excited when they kind of gave me an open-ended template saying, look, we're not asking for anything specific. We just want you to find a great way to test our cars beyond just, does it look great tomorrow? Because even though we had it on the Porsche for a year and a half or so until I gave it away, all we got to do was see that, yeah, it kind of continues to work. So they wanted to see more. And I said, I think I'm up for the task, because like I mentioned, last year was the final year for the C2C Express, and 2016 was the final year for the 2904. So we'd all been talking about what we wanted to do next. We didn't want it to be so illegal, so competitive, but we still wanted to have a fun automotive adventure. And so what we had arrived on was learning of the tradition of the people of Glacier Park, Alaska, up in coastal Alaska, where on the 4th of July, they have a tradition of retiring some of the broken down and derelict cars that would otherwise just sit rusting away in junkyards. They shoot them off a cliff. You may have seen other videos about this or read articles about it, but it's a real thing they do annually. And so in the event that we are allowed to travel into Canada, then into Alaska, and get back home by the 4th of July, we decided it would be really cool to get teams together, get cars, meet somewhere, and then road trip to Alaska. And that'd be the end of the cars. And so as I heard about Avalon King wanted me to find the perfect torture test and not making me tell them exactly what it was going to be until they watched this video along with you, I said, hey, I wonder, will a ceramic coating protect your car in the event of an accident? I think it won't. They probably don't either, but I'm going to find out. Also, will it help in a 6,000 mile torture test getting the car from here to the point where it gets something put on an accelerator pedal, put on their tracks, and launched off into the ravine? So we're going to have a bunch of cars, but mine is going to be half coated with their ceramic coating. Honestly, we might put a bunch of coats on there just to see what can happen. Will it protect against rock chips? Obviously, we know it'll keep bird poop and brake dust and everything else from sticking. I'm sure we'll find that to be the case. However, I want to see not only does it make it easier to clean, but what happens. Now, most of the time, you can't get someone to fully A/B test a ceramic coating product, because even though they could coat one side, they don't want to not coat the other side because they're assuming there's going to be some benefit. I don't care. And so I set out to try to find the perfect car to do this in. And for me, that answer is always going to be an AMG Mercedes, obviously. I'm going to buy the most appreciated form of the coolest car, and one of the things that I really, really like, and we're going to see how it works. And so I set out to find the perfect car, and I found a 2002 S55 AMG for over 97% off its original value. Obviously, that's the greatest thing about aging AMG products, but also the fact that Mercedes-Benz products will display a litany of errors, and this is the perfect car for error light bingo. I think last time I drove it, we had multiple light errors, brake pad warning, Distronic warning, washer fluid for sure, all these things. But the car just keeps going. And so I believe it will make it to the finish line despite being in very poor nick. Also, it has this shimmy from a very weak shock that I hope we can avoid having to replace, because that would be almost the value of the car if we do. But regardless, it was perfect. In fact, it's very similar to the 2002 S55 AMG that I bought and rebuilt and won the 2904 with. It wasn't $1,500, that was like 99% off of its original MSRP. That car had 12 owners, 2 accidents, a salvage title, airbags previously deployed, some frame damage previously, and the paint continues to just flake off of it. But I love these cars. In fact, having just sold my S65, I think this one's going to become my daily driver when I need a back seat for the next couple of months. And hopefully we can do it on the 4th of July. Otherwise, we'll just go up and do it some other time. The people that facilitate this extravaganza seem open to pushing the time frame if we need them to. But I think it'll be an awesome road trip and the chance to see, can you light the ceramic coating on fire? Can you get spray paint off of it? Will stickers stick to it? All the things that we intend to do to this car. What happens if an animal's on top of it? I don't know, but we're going to find out. So I think it's going to be the perfect torture test for Avalon King. I don't know if it's going to accomplish anything. They probably don't either. They're probably terrified to be hearing about this right now. But regardless, I hope it becomes something entertaining for you to watch. If you haven't already tried out Avalon King ceramic coating, please visit the link in the description below and enter the code ED25 for an additional $25 off their already very reasonably priced ceramic coating kits. Obviously, we appreciate Avalon King for their continued support of the VINwiki YouTube channel and for making experiences and content like this possible. Likewise, we appreciate Premier Financial Services. Just like Avalon King, they've supported us for the last 3 years, but they're also the sponsor for this month's Car Stories. Their simple lease product is one of the best things available in exotic and vintage car financing. It offers all the tax benefits and ease of operation of a normal lease, but it also lets you build equity and trade whenever you want due to their transparent amortization schedule. So be sure to check out their link in the description below to get pre-qualified or get qualified for the dream car that you found, or you might just want to go out and do some shrewd negotiating of your own. But thank them for their support of the VINwiki channel this month, and be sure to use them when it's time to get behind the wheel of the car you've always dreamt of.